think you're on right away, Andrew. Tell us what's going on.
I've got a few visuals for you. Let me grab the mouse.
Andrew, you did want me to have Dallas, invite Dallas to.
I was hoping he would be here. Yes, Your Honor.
You have a few questions about the change order.
Unfortunately, he didn't make it, apparently. And this is where my color blindness really hurts me. I can see it, though. This is what was bid out as part of the Midwest reconstruction project between David and Al. And it was to refeed Moss Holders Furniture and refeed, I forget what office building that is.
Goodstein.
Goodstein property, thank you.
Slumberland.
Slumberland and Goodstein. With the anticipation that we're going to get an easement from this property owner in order to put this transformer pad right here. That never materialized. We cannot do that. And Rocky Mountain Power was then going to reset their transformer and remake all the connections to these two properties. So that was what was bid out. So just to give you a little bit of background, and anywhere you see EC, that's electrical contractor, that's our contract, and RMP is obviously Rocky Mountain Power. And now, see if I can see what I'm doing here. This is now what we're having to do to get the power underground for these two facilities. Relocate the transformer over here off the Rails and Trails corridor, which is city-owned property. Boring from here to here, and then to here, 2 4-inch bores on each one. Setting a new transformer pads for both these facilities, because Rocky Mountain Power no longer put these transformer pads underneath these awnings, so we have to move all that infrastructure. So this is about $94,000 of additional work to refeed these two buildings without putting these guys out of power for up to a week to make these conversions. So that's a big cost of this $134,000 change order that is on the agenda for tonight. Okay. Are there any questions regarding? The other big portion is we're adding 6 additional streetlights, but the reason for that, we cannot convert the overhead power to underground, generally west of Ash Street, until we've got further infrastructure in place closer down towards Poplar Street. So you'll see the power go underground between Ash and David. We'll put infrastructure in place now, but we won't be able to actually physically put it underground until we get further west. And initially, Rocky Mountain Power said the overhead power currently is along the north side of Midwest. And Rocky Mountain Power said, you cannot put those streetlights in, you're too close to our transmission lines. They have now come back and said, you know what, we've taken another look, you're okay. If you want to, you can put these streetlights in and we can provide some power to it. So these notes 4, if you can see 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and there's one more just on the east side is, again, all of this has to stay above ground west of Ash. They're now saying you can put these lights in. What the plans have called for is simply cover these foundations with the plastic cover until we can actually put that power on the ground, and then we were going to set decorative street lights in under a subsequent phase. To add these additional 6 street lights is roughly $34,000. So those two combined add up to the change order of $134,000. And again, I'm rounding some numbers here for you. That makes up the bulk of the change order. In fact, that makes up all of the change order that you have on the agenda for tonight. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Question? So the street lights weren't part of the original plan?
Just the bases, just the foundations and the conduit, but we cannot physically stand them up because Rocky Mountain Power was concerned that they'd be too close to the transmission mains. Rocky Mountain Power has now come back and said, no, we're good, you can do that.
But eventually those transmission lines will go away.
Eventually they were going to go away, but they weren't, and they're not going to go away now, they'll still be there, but Rocky Mountain Power is more comfortable that we won't interfere with their transmission mains. and we have the necessary separation between the top of our decorative light poles and their transmission mains.
Mike?
So about $30-some thousand is to just erect those.
To set them up and pull the conductors.
Okay. And the need for the other access in the parking lots over there,
Yeah.
that's to grant full access to that parking area or what?
Yeah, right now this is overhead power, and we're bringing this underground as part of this phase. But right now, it was terminating at these transformer pads here. This one's currently underneath this awning, which is not allowed by code, by Rocky Mountain Power. And when they told us we had to move it, now we're having to move a bunch of other stuff to bring it up into compliance with code.
Probably know the answer to this, but do property owners have any, do they have to put any money into this at all, or is this all on us?
Because we're the ones requesting it to go underground, there is no fee for these reconnections.
So essentially, they're hooked up now.
They're hooked up now, and they're gonna be
making a
hooked back
decision to
up,
change it.
yeah,
Okay.
when we're done.
Would we still have some of these expenses, Andrew, if we had gotten the original easement that you were hoping for?
It's questionable. Rocky Mountain Power is now saying that you cannot put these, we cannot put these
That was the
here.
original plan.
But that was the original plan, and they were arguing that, all right, we'll make this a exception because we're gonna grandfather it in. But now that we're doing all this other work, they're saying, no, we need to make it right. So,
They're just following their rules.
Correct.
Basically. They're making us follow.
so.
Mike?
I guess that my question before should have been, what's the benefit of getting it underground? Just to get it underground, or, you know?
The big push is aesthetics, is a lot of it for the visual aspects of the entire project. And anymore, all of our power in these new subdivisions, we're mandating that they go underground.
Tends to be more reliable too.
Pardon me?
Tends to be more reliable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Are we just wanting to add the, I want to call the fancier lights just because we kind of want them there? Are they replacing other lights that won't be there anymore?
Right now, you will see very little lighting along this corridor. When you see a light like with the symbol MR, those are generally what you think of as Cobra heads. The big lights. These are all decorative street lights just to add pedestrian amenities and to make it a more comfortable walking environment. These are ones that are really for the traffic that are driving on the streets.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Bates, the other concern that we have with regard to the area in question, this particular corridor, we've been getting complaints that with regard to the increased pedestrian traffic through this particular area because of the new establishments and the erection of the Davis Street Station and the added volume of people, was that there was not enough lighting, A, for the pedestrians to get through the corridor safely, and B, for the vehicles to get through and see more clearly with regard to people coming off the sidewalk into the streets and so forth. And so some of the requests, at least back during the original scoping of this plan, was to try to enhance the safety for the massive amount of volumes of people that we get from time to time over there now by creating lighting options and making it more viable for pedestrian safety and vehicular comfort as they drive through the area.
It gets really dark at night there.
Right.
It's really dark.
If you've driven Ash Street, you'll see that we've got probably 7 or 8 decorative street lights installed now on the west side between Yellowstone and Midwest for that very reason.
And they're going to be the same as those?
Correct.
Out of curiosity, and I don't know enough, so I apologize. Is there a way to make them solar powered, where they're more cost efficiency wise. Is that out there on the market at all?
We're not quite there with solar powered. We need, the solar power array would be so massive that it'd be like, what is that? It would really detract from what we're trying to accomplish here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, these lights, at least on the north side of Midwest, those will still be there after the new state building is completed. And
Yeah,
so
the
this
new
might-
state building actually doesn't really take effect. It's west of Elm Street.
Well, yeah, but it's that whole area, and this will
Correct.
kind of fit into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Andrew? Looks like something we gotta do. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have started with Andrea, so would you go ahead and make your introduction, Ray?
Yeah, so the reason I'm doing this is a lot of, Andrea is actually my assistant director at Gear Up. She's the reason why Gear Up's successful, that's what I always say, not because of me. But Andrea's just been nominated to be on the Leisure Services Advisory Board, and so she'll be voted on tonight, and so invited her to come here and introduce herself, so I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Andrea.
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. Like you said, I work for Gear Up. I'm a Casper native. I graduated from Natrona County High School, and I'm really looking forward to being more involved. And it sounds like this is a really good first step, so I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it.
And she just recently just got her master's in public administration, and so so she's very, very, very intelligent young woman that does a wonderful job. So
You'll be amazed what you learn as far as what goes on, the user groups that use our various amenities, and countless hours that people volunteer to make all of these things happen, all the different clubs, and it's inspiring, really. I think you'll enjoy it.
Cool. Thank you.
So, thank you for your service. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? Do we need to go around? Anybody have anything to report? Any concerns about the agenda? Okay. Craig?
Do you mind if I bring up something real quick? In one of your consent items, you may have noticed a request from the new proprietors at the Parkway Plaza with regard to changing the street in front of their facility from Parkway Plaza Boulevard or something to that effect back to the original E Street or E Boulevard or whatever it was called back in those days. And so I thought we'd gotten a letter into your information packet, so you could kind of anticipate that. Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we did. Oh, great. Good. Okay. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. These folks have been asking about it, and I'm sure will be pretty relieved to see this pass tonight if you should see fit to do so. So I guess I would plug that it would make sense as a business owner to not have that previous facility mentioned in the street that runs in front of any business.
But if they want to put Crown Plaza Drive in there and build one, we can change it back.
So they're changing the name of the business, is that why?
Correct. I think that's the anticipation. I'm not totally sure what they're going to call it at this point, but they would be satisfied with E Street or whatever it's going to be.
123 Street. Yeah.
Okay.
Echo Street.
like that, I like the ring of that.
Well, we did Fall Boulevard, remember?
Yeah.
So anyway, just want to get that.
All right. Well, if there's anything else, we can take a little break and start at 6.
Thanks, everybody.